Well, g'day fishers. Welcome back to another Port Stephens weekly fishing report. And I tell you what, it is fishing quite well at the moment. If you like your estuary fishing, well, get out there. If you like your offshore fishing, well, get out there. It is just an awesome time of year, and it is a very, very fishy time of year for Port Stephens. We'll begin with the estuary as we do every week. Now, pelagic action starting to happen in the bay. So no longtails inside the bay yet, but a mixture of species chasing the bait around in the bay. Some really, really good tailor. Some nice tailor actually in the bay. I spoke to Paul from Port Stephens Estuary Charters. He said first light, there's been some cracking tailor over 1 kilo, eating smaller metal lures. So those 10 grams or 11 gram are anchovies, which we have a wall full again. I guess we go through those like there's no tomorrow. They're our bread and butter when it comes to throwing metals, doing the trick on the tailor in around the bay. Now, two things you can do. You can chase them in the boat, look for those white turns, first light, see the choppers chopping on the surface there, you can cast to them. Or if you've got a land-based spot, and particularly the Nelson Bay breakwall, the Anchorage breakwall, you will catch them off there as well. So definitely worth a shot. It's a really nice tailor inside the bay at the moment. Bonito in the bay, and also some frigates as well. So we're starting to see that autumn pelagic action starting to happen. I don't think it'll be too far away, and we will see some long-tail action. So usually by the end of March into April, that's when the long-tails turn up, and we start to see some numbers there. Still some good flatties around. As I said last week, I reckon March, April, really good time to target big lizards. So if you're keen on doing that, right up in the shallows this time of year, lower half of the bay, anywhere from that Corlette over to Jimmy's Beach, Shoal Bay. I know Shoal Bay's been fishing really well in the eastern end there, so definitely worth a shot. Nelson Bay Beach, first light, Little Beach, fishing really well around the wharf there, but you've got to do it early just to avoid, obviously, boat traffic, crowd swimmers, and all that kind of stuff. A good trick at this time of year, if you don't want to throw soft plastics, I do love throwing a good old gang pilly or a garfish and slowly roll them. So it's a really, really good way to get a big lizard or a feeder lizards. Don't forget, you've got to let them go over 70 centimetres as well. Speaking of garfish, plenty of garfish on Shoal Bay Wharf. Standing room only if you want to target those at the moment. Just remember your bag limit. I know a few people are taking more than their bag limit, so just remember the bag limits. There's plenty for everybody there, that's for sure. There's been some squid there as well. So obviously they're hunting around the garfish schools. So if you're keen on catching a feeder squid, definitely worth throwing a squid jig around there at the moment. Now, coming up to the full moon over the next 2 weeks, so it'd be a good time to target mulloway inside the bay. Usually that sort of summer period, they go a little bit dormant in the bay, but now is really a really good time to go and chase mulloway. I think the next 2 weeks we will see some nice mulloway caught inside Port Stephens, that is for sure. So that's the bay at the moment. On the beaches this weekend, got a little bit of swell rolling in. There's actually been a bit of swell all week. So you're going to have to look at your protected southern corners if you want to find a little bit of beach fishing. I think come Sunday it'll be a little bit better as that wind swings back to the east-northeast. But plenty of whiting on the beaches, heaps of reports of really nice whiting during the week. We just got a load of 200 worms in overnight, so live beach rooms ready to go for your whiting this weekend off the beaches. I reckon it'll be a good time to go and chase some mulloway off the beach as well. If we get a little bit of swell, create a few gutters, a bit of white water, be worth throwing a few lures around the beaches. It's a really good time of year. We're just on that verge of the mullet run. When we get the big southwest change, usually in April, that's when the mullet will run. So it's not a bad idea to go and throw some big plastics off the beaches for a few mulloway at the moment. Some good tailor on the beaches as well, as I spoke. Tailor in the bays, also some good tailor on the beaches before light and after light if you're keen on doing that. Holgaris on Gang's way to go for some big tailor. My suggestions this weekend, northern side of Fingal. You'll get out of that southerly and it'll fish pretty well there. Corner of 1 mile there. You could try and look at around Middle Rock there. You can sort of get out a little bit there, but it just depends how big this swell is going to be. Now on the rocks, pelagic action starting to happen off the rocks. I've heard of a couple of cobia caught off the rocks this week, as well as lost. Plenty of bonito off the rocks if you're keen on spinning there. Like I said, a little bit early on the longtails, but it won't be far away. I know some boys have been fishing pretty hard for longtails. They won't be far away. I know up the coast there's plenty of longtail action further up north, so it won't be far away. Bread and butter species, spoke to Pete. He decided to go and fish the washes with that little bit of swell, got some nice brim. He got some drummer as well, so good to see. that action happening as well. So if you're keen on just doing that, soaking a prawn bait in the wash, you'll do pretty well there. Now let's move to the offshore scene at the moment. Now, begin on the inshore. Some really nice snapper around, even in the shallows. We're on the new moon, or on that waxing moon, so some really nice snapper in the shallows. Plenty of bait around, so snapper feeding up in the shallows. Even though the water is warm, there are some good ones around. Dan sent me some photos last night of some cracking reds he caught on soft plastics. So some good reds around. Our friend the fly is back. There you go. Remember last week the fly? He's back again. There you go. That time of the year, or is it just me? Maybe it's me. So some good reds around. Plenty of trag about at the moment. Some really nice trag, as I said last week, on pretty much all those deeper reefs, those 40 to 50 metre reefs, the outer V, the 21, the big gibber, down off your Ralla, Boulder Bay wide. Fishing pretty well there too. Now don't forget, like I said, off the rocks, there's been some good cobes around. So around the islands, Little Island, Big Island, they'll just turn up anywhere. Like I said last week, the Mungo Reef there, north side of Broughton around North Rock there. There's been some cobes and some good kings at North Rock as well. So if you want to get out for a feed, I think Sunday looks like the better day. Definitely worth a shot. Plenty of bonito in the washes. Have a troll around the washes. You will get plenty of bonito. Some kings out at Allmark. Looking at rip charts, the current is wrong, to be honest with you. But some nice kings at Allmark, up to about 8-9 kilos. So if you're keen on doing a bit of deep dropping with live baits or jigs, definitely worth a shot for some kings out there at the moment. That is for sure. Now, the other big news. My favourite news. The shelf bite. It is going off. Port of Gold, POG. That is the nickname for Port Stephens, the car park. The shelf has ignited, that's for sure. This week, I managed to get out myself with Paul. The two of us. We went 7 from 7, 5 blacks, 2 stripes there, skip baiting and live baiting, and it looked alive. The sound of shots, there's so many fish I marked on the edge there, heaps of bait. But yesterday, it just looked so good. The boys on Calypso went, I think they caught 11. Junior, he caught 10. Scotty caught 8 or 9. It is definitely Port Stephens at its best right now. So if you're keen on getting out there, hopefully the back half of the weekend be worth getting out. Early next week looks good, but it looks sensational out there. And to be honest, it's all the way along the shelf there. I fished 58 to 00 there the other day. Looked amazing. Lots of bait, and like I said, I marked so many fish. It was just great fun to see those fish there. Some nice blacks. We caught one about 100 kilos. Stripes are 90 kilos. Smaller blacks as well, 50, 40 kilos as well. But it just looks unreal. So Port Stephens at its best right now, and I think it's only going to get better over that next 2 weeks with the lead up to the full moon. The current's pushing back into the west there, which means that bait is just sitting right on the edge of the shelf, pushing those predators in. Altimetry line looks good, so if you're keen to get out there, I'd definitely get out there in the next couple of days. Anyway, that's it from me. Like I said, big fishing report this week, but plenty of action around Port Stephens.